Why most minds collapse. Under pressure? Most people don't break because life is hard. They break because their mind is undisciplined. Pressure doesn't create weakness, it reveals it. And when pressure hits, the truth comes out fast. Look around. The moment things get uncomfortable, people panic. They rush. They overreact. They say things they regret. They make decisions they can't undo. Not because the situation is impossible, but because their inner world is chaotic. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people never face. Your mind is either trained or it's a liability. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire drowning in war, betrayal, disease, and political intrigue. Yet he didn't fear chaos. Why? Because he understood something most people still don't. The real collapse never starts outside you. It starts inside. Under pressure, the untrained mind looks for relief, not clarity. It chases comfort. It reaches for distraction. It reacts emotionally instead of responding deliberately. And that's where control is lost. Pressure doesn't overwhelm you. Your lack of structure does. When stress rises, your thoughts scatter. When fear appears, your attention fractures. When uncertainty grows, your identity weakens. That's why people who seem strong in calm conditions fall apart when things get serious. They never built an inner system. They relied on mood, on motivation, on everything except discipline. Marcus Aurelius warned against this centuries ago. He knew that a mind without order becomes its own enemy, because the world will test you, relentlessly, without mercy. And if your mind isn't fortified, life doesn't have to defeat you. You'll defeat yourself. That's why most minds collapse under pressure. Not because pressure is unbearable, but because they were never trained to carry it. And in this video, you'll learn how Marcus Aurelius built a mental discipline so strong that chaos couldn't touch it, and how you can begin building the same inner fortress. Stay with me, because once your mind is disciplined, nothing outside you can break you. Marcus Aurelius and the Inner Citadel. Most people are searching for safety in the wrong place. They look for it in money, in relationships, in status, in control over others. Marcus Aurelius looked inward because he understood something most never realize. Anything external can be taken from you. Your position, your health, your reputation, your future. But if your mind is fortified, nothing truly owns you. This is where the idea of the Inner Citadel begins. Not as poetry, not as philosophy for calm evenings, as survival strategy. Marcus ruled an empire under constant threat. Enemies at the borders, plagues within the cities, conspiracies inside his own court. He could not escape pressure, so he learned to contain it. The Inner Citadel is not a place of comfort. It is a place of command, a mental stronghold where chaos is not allowed to rule. Marcus believed that if a man cannot govern his own thoughts, he is already conquered, even if he sits on a throne. That's why he trained his mind every day, not to feel better, but to remain sovereign. Think about what most people do when pressure rises. They seek reassurance. They vent. They distract themselves. They numb. Marcus did the opposite. He withdrew inward, not to escape reality, but to face it without distortion. The Inner Citadel is the ability to say, "This is happening, but it doesn't define me. This is painful, but it does not command me. This is unfair, but I will respond with clarity." That's power. Not dominance over others, dominance over reaction. Marcus wrote to remind himself that events are neutral. It is judgment that gives them power. And most minds collapse because they never separate the two. They confuse what happens with what it means. The inner citadel creates that separation. It is the space between stimulus and response, between insult and emotion, between loss and identity. Inside that space, choice lives. Without it, you are predictable. And predictability is weakness. This is why Marcus warned against emotional immediacy. Anger feels justified. Fear feels urgent. Despair feels honest. But feelings are not commands. The inner citadel does not silence emotion. It puts it in its place. You observe before you obey. You assess before you act. You decide before you react. And here's the uncomfortable part. Building this fortress is lonely. Because once you stop reacting like everyone else, people notice. You become harder to provoke, harder to manipulate, harder to control. That makes some uncomfortable. But Marcus did not seek approval. He sought stability. He understood that a man without inner walls will be ruled by the loudest voice in the room, by fear, by outrage, by pressure. The inner citadel is what allows you to stand still while others panic. And that stillness is not passivity. It is readiness. Because when you are not consumed by chaos, you can see clearly. And when you see clearly, you act decisively. In the next part, we will look at what happens when this inner fortress is weak. Why most people, even intelligent ones, sabotage themselves under pressure without ever realizing it. Because collapse rarely looks dramatic. Most of the time, it looks normal. Why distraction is modern weakness. Loss of focus is loss of power. Here's the trap almost no one sees. The modern world doesn't attack you head-on. It doesn't try to break you with force. It dissolves you. Slowly, quietly, conveniently. Distraction is not harmless. It is not neutral. It is a weapon. And it works because it feels comfortable. Marcus Aurelius never faced social media, endless notifications, or constant noise. But he understood something timeless. A scattered mind cannot rule itself. And a mind that cannot rule itself will always be ruled by something else. Power begins with attention. Lose that, and everything else follows. Think about this carefully. Who controls your attention controls your decisions. Who controls your decisions controls your life. Most people believe distraction is rest. It isn't. It's surrender. Every time you escape discomfort instead of facing it, you hand over authority. Not to another person, to impulse. Marcus warned that a man who cannot stay with a single thought is already fragmented. Not weak in strength, weak in command. Because focus is what allows meaning to form. Without focus, there is no depth. Without depth, there is no conviction. Without conviction, there is no direction. And without direction, pressure destroys you. Here's the example that makes this real. Two men face the same crisis. One reaches for distraction, scrolling, noise, entertainment, anything to dull the edge. The other sits in silence with the discomfort. Not because he enjoys it, but because he refuses to be governed by avoidance. Weeks later, the difference is invisible. Months later, it is structural. Years later, it is destiny. One becomes reactive, dependent, anxious. The other becomes deliberate, composed, grounded. Marcus understood that distraction doesn't just waste time. It weakens the muscle of attention. And once that muscle atrophies, you cannot hold tension, responsibility, or complexity. That's why modern weakness rarely looks like collapse. It looks like constant stimulation, constant consumption, constant movement with no progress. You are busy, but not advancing, informed, but not wise, connected, but internally scattered. Marcus would have seen this clearly. He trained himself to return, again and again, to what was in front of him. The task, the moment, the duty. Not because it was pleasant, but because it was real. Distraction is attractive because it promises relief without resolution. Focus demands something harder: presence, endurance, ownership. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If you cannot control where your attention goes, you cannot control who you become. This is why loss of focus is loss of power. Not symbolically, literally. Because power is the ability to stay aligned under pressure. Distraction breaks alignment. It fractures intent. It turns you into a collection of reactions instead of a unified will. And Marcus knew that an unfocused mind is an open gate to fear, to influence, to decay. In the next part, we'll confront something even more dangerous than distraction: why most people willingly trade long-term strength for short-term comfort, and don't realize the cost until it's irreversible. Ruthless control of attention, where your energy actually goes. Let's pause for a moment, because if this next part makes you uncomfortable, it's working. Here's the brutal interlude no one likes to hear. If your life feels weak, scattered, or stalled, it's not because you lack talent. It's not because the world is unfair. It's not because you haven't found yourself yet. It's because your attention is leaking everywhere. And whatever your attention touches, your energy follows. Marcus Aurelius understood a truth most people still avoid. You do not have infinite strength. You do not have infinite will. You do not have infinite time. So if you spend your attention carelessly, you spend your life carelessly. This is where Stoicism becomes ruthless. Not calm, not soft, not aesthetic, selective. Attention is not just focus, it is direction. Where you look determines what grows, and where you constantly look without intention becomes a drain. Most people don't realize how exhausted they are because they're bleeding energy in 100 invisible ways. Other people's opinions, other people's drama, imaginary arguments, endless information with no application. Marcus warned against this explicitly. He wrote about how easily the mind is pulled outward, and how quickly it loses itself chasing noise. A mind that reacts to everything is controlled by everything. That's not awareness, that's submission. Stoic selectivity means this: not everything deserves a response. Not every thought deserves belief. Not every emotion deserves expression. Not every battle deserves entry. This is where real power hides, not in doing more, but in refusing more. Marcus trained himself to ask a simple, brutal question. Is this within my control, or am I wasting life on illusion? If it wasn't within his control, he cut it off. No rumination, no outrage, no self-pity. Not because he was emotionless, but because he was strategic. Energy spent on what you cannot influence is energy stolen from what you can. And here's the hook most people miss. Attention doesn't just flow to what is loud. It flows to what you allow. Which means every time you indulge distraction, resentment, or mental clutter, you are not being attacked. You are consenting. Marcus ruled an empire under constant pressure betrayal, and instability. Yet he protected his attention more fiercely than his borders. Because he knew something modern people forget. If your inner world is unguarded, your outer power is meaningless. Stoic control of attention is not about isolation. It's about hierarchy. You choose what stands at the center of your mind and what is kept at the edges. Duty at the center. Character at the center. Action at the center. Noise stays outside the walls. This is why most people collapse under pressure. They try to carry everything. Marcus carried only what mattered. And because of that, pressure didn't crush him, it clarified him. Here's the uncomfortable reflection. If you feel constantly tired, irritated, or unfocused, it's not because life demands too much. It's because you haven't decided what deserves your attention. Ruthless control of attention is not deprivation. It is sovereignty. And once you claim it, the world loses its grip on you. In the next part, we'll go even deeper into the danger zone. Why comfort is the most effective weapon ever used against strong minds, and why Marcus treated it as an enemy, not a reward. Endurance over motivation. Why discipline outlives inspiration. Let's say this clearly without comfort or decoration. Motivation is unreliable. It arrives late, it leaves early, and it disappears the moment conditions turn hostile. Yet most people build their entire lives on it. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel confident. They wait to feel inspired. Marcus Aurelius never waited, because waiting is a luxury of people who are not responsible for anything important. Here is the hard truth most minds resist. If you need motivation to act, you are already under the control of your emotions. And emotions are the weakest rulers imaginable. They change with sleep. They change with weather. They change with praise and rejection. An empire cannot be run on feelings. Neither can a life. Marcus understood endurance as something deeper than persistence. Endurance was structure. Structure that held even when the inner world felt empty, irritated, or exhausted. He wrote his meditations not on peaceful mornings, but during war, illness, betrayal, and grief. Not to inspire himself, but to command himself. That's the difference. Motivation asks, do I feel like doing this? Discipline asks, what must be done regardless? One negotiates, the other obeys. And the cruel world always respects the one who obeys principle, not mood. Most people collapse not because life is too heavy, but because they try to carry it with emotion instead of structure. They work when they feel good. They speak truth when it's comfortable. They stay consistent only when conditions are kind. Marcus expected none of that. He assumed fatigue. He assumed resistance. He assumed inner reluctance. And he built systems that functioned anyway. This is where Stoicism becomes unforgiving. You do not get credit for intention. You do not get credit for desire. You do not get credit for how hard it feels, only for what you do. Discipline is not punishment. It is freedom from negotiation. Every time you rely on motivation, you reopen the debate. Should I act? Should I wait? Should I avoid discomfort? Discipline closes the debate. It turns action into routine. It turns resistance into background noise. Marcus trained himself to act without emotional permission. Not because he was harsh, but because he was realistic. He knew something most people refuse to accept. The world does not pause because you feel unready. Responsibility does not soften because you feel tired. Time does not slow down because you feel overwhelmed. So endurance becomes the only sane response, not dramatic endurance, not heroic endurance. Quiet endurance, the kind that shows up even when nothing feels rewarding. This is why discipline outlives motivation. Motivation burns fast. Discipline burns long. Motivation feels powerful. Discipline is powerful. And here is the uncomfortable realization. If your progress depends on how you feel today, your future is unstable. Marcus didn't trust his moods. He trusted principles. And that leads us directly into the next, even more dangerous idea. Because discipline alone is not enough. If you are disciplined in the wrong direction, you simply become efficient at self-destruction. So the real question becomes, what governs your discipline? In the next part, we confront the core of Stoic strength. Living by principle, not mood, where character overrides emotion and identity becomes unshakable, even when everything else breaks. That's where most people fail, and where Marcus never did. Living by principle, not mood. Character over emotion. Stand still. Listen carefully. Your emotions are not commands. They are signals, nothing more. They do not decide. They do not rule. They do not excuse. You were not built to obey what fluctuates. Mood changes with hunger. Mood changes with fatigue. Mood changes with praise and insult. If you let mood lead, you will live as a reaction, not as a force. So you will not ask how you feel. You will ask what is required. Principle comes first. Action follows. Emotion adapts, or it is ignored. This is not cruelty. This is order. You do not wake up asking if you feel like being disciplined. You wake up already bound by duty. The body may resist. The mind may complain. Let them. They are not in charge. You act according to what you have decided is right, not according to what feels pleasant, safe, or emotionally satisfying. Remember this. Feelings demand comfort. Principles demand alignment. Comfort weakens structure. Alignment strengthens identity. When anger rises, you do not follow it, you examine it. When fear speaks, you do not obey it, you measure it. When desire pulls, you do not surrender, you delay. Delay creates distance. Distance creates control. This is how character is forged, not by emotional intensity, but by repeated obedience to a chosen standard. You will disappoint others. You will frustrate weaker expectations. Accept it. You were not designed to be liked. You were designed to be stable. Stability outlives approval. Do not confuse kindness with compliance. Do not confuse calm with passivity. Do not confuse emotion with truth. You are allowed to feel. You are not allowed to be ruled. Every time you act despite mood, you reinforce sovereignty. Every time you wait for the right feeling, you surrender authority. So make this final distinction. Emotion is weather. Character is climate. Weather changes hourly. Climate defines the land. You will become what you repeatedly obey. Obey principle. Let emotion fall in line, or fall silent. This is how Marcus remained unshaken among chaos, and this is the standard you now inherit. There is a man chaos cannot reach, not because his life is easy, not because pain avoids him, but because nothing inside him is left unguarded. Storms still come. People still betray. Pressure still tightens. But chaos finds no entrance. Because this man does not negotiate with panic. He does not seek comfort from confusion. He does not surrender control to emotion. He has already decided who he is. When the world shakes, he does not ask what to feel. He asks what to do. And then he does it. This is what Marcus Aurelius understood. Power is not domination. Strength is not noise. Control is not force over others. It is command over the self. The world will test you. It always does. It will offer distraction instead of discipline, excuses instead of standards, emotion instead of principle, and most will fold. But not the man who has built an inner citadel. His mind is ordered. His attention is guarded. His actions are aligned. He does not need motivation. He does not wait for certainty. He does not beg life to be fair. He moves anyway. Not with rage, not with despair, but with calm, deliberate resolve. This is not optimism. This is preparation. You do not control the world. You never will. But you control what kind of man stands inside it. Become the one chaos cannot touch. Not loud, not fragile, not reactive, unbreakable. And when the world looks for someone to bend, let it pass over you in silence.